What's the whole deal with this, you guys? What does this stuff actually mean? What are we talking about? And people are kind of going on and on about 5D and 4D and densities and dimensions, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the deal. As we move into fourth and fifth density, we move directly beyond the veil of our third dimensional time space, that we begin to experience life very differently. Now, in my work, clearing people of energy, implants, entities, there is a phenomenon that occurs by which we will encounter an individual that is literally being affected or assaulted by fourth dimensional entities. And one of the things that happens in the fourth dimensional incarnation is we have the ability to move outside of the physical body through the astral plane and literally affect 3D lower consciousness beings. And so we see this sort of interactivity with what some people call the inner earth groups, or, ET groups, in which, we will encounter a being in a dream state or a vision, or they'll even appear to us in some form of an apparition. And for most purposes, that's quite literally a fourth density being showing up in our energy field and either influencing, affecting, sometimes attacking. I have encountered clients that quite literally are assaulted by what I believe to be fourth dimensional reptilian consciousnesses, actual reptilian beings that will kind of go into an astral state or be existing within this astral realm, whose literal purpose it is, to just affect and kind of target 3D beings. And so as we move into fourth density, those types of experiences are the foundation of what we're going through. And in fourth density, we have both positive and negative. This is not a unity consciousness state. We are still polarizing in fourth density. So we experience both positive and negative. We are quite literally experiencing fourth density energy in this moment. We will be experiencing fourth density energy when we enter into a contained energetic space for the purpose of healing. If you guys have heard Corey Good talk about the race called the Anshar and how they exist in a fourth dimensional time bubble in the inner earth, and yes, I believe that there is a group called the Anshar existing in there. One of the things they supposedly do is exist in they kind of hang out in these sort of libraries or gathering areas, and they literally connect astrally with 3D humans. And so for a lot of us, our guides, the beings that we encounter, sometimes that we are targeted by, sometimes that we are assisted by, are quite literally fourth density consciousnesses or beings that are encountering us in the astral realm. They will also encounter us in the physical realm. In the law of one, Ra even states the fourth density body is still a physical thing. It still exists. We experience it differently. In fourth density, we begin to move beyond that physical separation state of 3D. We go outside of that realm. And so when we talk about fifth density, 5D, all of those things, the reality is that many of us have incarnated here at the stage of our collective evolution. We are what the law of one calls fifth or sixth density wanderers who chose to come back into human form, to go through that forgetting, quote unquote, that Ra calls, for the purpose of rapid advancement of our soul's journey and progress during this ascension cycle. And so what this means, you guys, is that the frequency of 5D is inherent within each of us. We're already in 5D, or whatever you want to call that. It's an energy inherent within each of us. And this physical incarnation is more about coming into an awareness of this simple fact rather than obtaining or realizing some heightened state of consciousness. Because as we go through this process of awakening, of self-healing, of activation, this quote-unquote harvest, we don't step into 5D and go into this 5D new earth, you guys. That's not the way that it works. And I'm sorry, some of you guys out there are like, yes, it is. The solar flash is going to come and I'm going to go through this gateway into 5D earth. And here's the thing. We are on infinite timelines, and that's a fact. Some of us will go through a timeline in which we experience that. What's happening is we are already there. It's kind of like the infant, this child, is just becoming aware of its body. And one day you're like, oh my God, I have a hand, I have a hand. And so it's kind of like we're becoming aware of this thing that already exists. But the awareness of fifth density, the awareness of 5D happens during the fourth density transitional shift, in which those elements of energetic anatomy, that thymic chakra, that soul star chakra, the earth star chakra, the secondary, tertiary chakras, the hand chakras, the multiple dimensional layers of our body that we become aware of in fourth density, in a fourth dimensional energetic astral space, is where we gain the awareness of 5D and the ways in which we are literally already interacting with those frequencies. So as we approach the vibration of fifth density or 5D consciousness, we begin to move outside of the realm of physicality, time, and space. In the Law of One, Ra states, in fifth density, the manifestation of the physical complex is more and more under the control of the conscious mind complex. Therefore, the fifth density entity may dissolve one manifestation and create another. As another point of reference, Ra also states, in positive, the fifth density complex uses sixth density teach learners to study the more illuminating understandings of unity, thus becoming more and more wise. Fifth density positive social memory complexes will often choose to divide their service to others in two ways. First, the beaming of light to creation. Second, the sending of groups to be of aid as instruments of light, such as those whom you're familiar with through channels. And so the way that I discern this, the reason why I attach these strange, cumbersome, dense passages from the Law of One, which, as an aside, I do personally regard the Law of One as the true story of where Matthew's consciousness originated, the true story of the ways in which I understand the nature of our, reality, how it came about, and, the process and, what's happening in our existence here. I do understand, or I do accept, the Law of One as being the timeline from which Matthew originates. So when I read these passages, what this tells me is that the fifth density complex uses sixth density teach learners to understand the more illuminated understandings of unity. So in fifth density, we are still going through this lesson process. We're still gaining experience. We're still moving toward a unity consciousness. But what's happening is, as we segue into the next slide, you guys, is that we are encountering future versions of ourselves.